Hello, so welcome to this tutorial. This tutorial is going to be me showing you how to use the Create Cosmos app to create front end for your Cudos smart contract. So I'm on the Cosmos Logitech Create Cosmos app repo, and in this repo you would see that there are different. Let me go to the. You would see that there are different methods of creating your Cosmos app. But firstly, you need to install the Create Cosmos app globally. You need to install it globally, the package. So once you run this command, npm create Cosmos app, then you can now run the command using Create Cosmos app or the alias CCA that makes it easy for you. So that's one way, using the global install. Or you can do so by using npx create Cosmos app. Okay, so I already have Cosmos app installed, and the second part that I think I should show you is using CosmWasm templates. So firstly, we need to know that there are different ways in which you can use the Create Cosmos app tooling, but since we are integrating it with our smart contract built with CosmWasm, I'm going to run the command cc. Okay, so let me show you how. I've installed Create Cosmos app already. So to create the project, I'm going to go into this directory and run the command cca. The name of my project is going to be Cudos messaging dApp, and I'm going to use an example template, which is the CosmWasm template. Okay, so I'm not exactly following I'm not using Osmosis CosmWasm, so that might be a little bit confusing. Just note template CosmWasm, not Osmosis CosmWasm. And after running this command, would see that our project is going to be created. But I already ran this command to save us time. I'm going to close this and go into my VS Code. The front end that comes with creating the Cosmos app using the CosmWasm template. So I'm going to npm run dev. Hopefully that's the right command. Yeah, that's the right command. So this comes out of the box, and we're going to edit this to suit our own smart contract. We also have the pages. We have the what other things do I need to show you? I'm going to use the schemas. I'm going to use the scripts, the code gen script. So that's all for now. We would edit some parts of it. So let's look at what we have on our front end. It's connected to CosmWasm testnet. So we can connect our wallet. I'm using Kepler. I have Kepler installed. I need to type in my password. So you'd see that it has connected my wallet, and you can see my balance on this chain on the CosmWasm testnet. Okay, so now we're going to further edit this to suit our own purpose. So firstly, I'm going to stop running this, clear, and let me show you some things from our smart contract. So this is our smart contract project itself. So each smart contract project has, if you use Cudos Blast, I'm assuming you used Cudos Blast to create this contract. So inside of the contract, there is a examples folder, and inside of it we have schema.rs. So this contains references to imports from the messages with the find, as well as some other types with the find in our smart contract. And each of this type we must have decorated them with. So let me go to this. You would see you must have decorated them with JSON schema. So that's what is used to derive the schema. I'm going to show you that shortly. So when we run this command, you come here, you import everything you need to generate, every type or every struct and some other type that you need to generate its schema, then every struct. So then after importing them, you run this command. So here you state which schema you want to export. So we mentioned everything here, and we're going to export them to what's the output directory, the schema file. So if you run this command, you would see that it outputs them to the schema file in the root directory. So let's come here. You see there is a schema file and we have all of this. So I'm going to copy and paste this in our newly created front-end project, because we're going to use this to generate, the code gen is going to use this to generate the TypeScript types. So I'm going to paste that in schemas. I'm looking for the folder. So we have schemas. So I'm going to add another directory here and name it messaging, because that's the name of our smart contract, and paste. So after pasting all of this, to create our TypeScript files or TypeScript tiles from this, I'll come to the code gen scripts. Also inside of the root directory, this is scripts code gen. So here I'm going to specify what's the directory, or what the containing directory should be. So remember I copied the things I copied inside of the messaging folder, and you see it's going to get this. So it looks into our schemas directory, then inside of subdirectory, and inside of that it's going to look into the messaging subdirectory, and we're going to name this messaging. So let me run this command. If we check our package.json file, you would see that one of the scripts we have is the code gen. And to run this, I'm going to npm run code gen. So that's going to derive our types for us. So everything has been derived. So if I go to the code gen folder or directory, I would see that we have two different types that were created. So we have the messaging. I'm going to close that. So see, the first thing it says is that this file was automatically generated by CustomWasm TypeScript code gen. You don't have to modify, it's not that you don't have to, but you should not modify it by hand. So if you want to create or modify this, then you do that using the script. So you have to change your schemas and edit the scripts and run the commands again. So now we have our types. So let me show you the types. So we have the types here, which I already talked about. But secondly, we have the client. So what this client is that our JSON file, JSON schema files was also used to generate classes for us. So these are clients that we can use to access our smart contract. So we have three types of methods or entry points for all smart contracts. The instantiate entry point, which we use to initialize our smart contract, and it's two entry points that we are going to be interacting with from our front end is the execute methods or entry points, where we execute our different smart contract methods, like whenever we want to write something to the state of the smart contract. And we also have the query entry point. And the query entry point is where we read from the state of our smart contract. So you would see that inside of this generated file as well, we have two separate clients. The first one is messaging query client that we can use to query our smart contract. And we also have the messaging client. So the messaging client contains it uses a sign-in CustomWasm client. So what is a signing custom WASM client? You use it to connect to your smart contract, and with it you can call onto the execute entry point. That is, you can write onto your smart contract. And luckily for us, we can also read from the smart contract using the signing custom WASM client. And that's what we use to configure. That's what was used to configure our messaging client. But we also have the messaging query client. And this messaging query client, it says read-only interface. We can only access our query entry points. And you would see that this uses the custom WASM client. And the custom WASM client is also used only and mainly for reading from the smart contract. So let's go to, you can have a look. Let me just scroll through. You see, it corresponds to the methods we have, the get greeting and the get replies. And this messaging client, which is a type that uses signing custom WASM client, you would see that we can reply and we can also reset. So I'm going to close all of this now and go to the configuration. So I'm going to now configure some other parts of this. So the first thing I would do is go to the pages. Inside of the pages, I'm going to edit the app.tsx and the index.tsx file. You would see that the app.tsx file contains some things that are peculiar to the chain that we are connected to. You saw that I was connected to the custom WASM testnet out of the box, but we need to edit this so that we are connected to Cudos testnet. So doing that now, I'm going to write Cudos testnet, and I'm going to change our gas price because our denomination is a Cudos for gas prices, and I'm going to up this from 0.00 something to 250 Cudos for our gas price. You can even make it higher. Let me make it 250 for now. I think it worked for me in the past. Sometimes I've used 5 exponential 18 Cudos. So I'm going to leave it at this. Then the second part that I need to change is the endpoint options. We want to change this to Cudos. Excuse me, what did I just do? So I'm going to change this to Cudos testnet. And I would change the RPC to the Cudos testnet RPC. And I have copied that somewhere. So that's sorry for the errors, but let me just, yeah. So I'm going to paste that. To paste that, I'm going to Ctrl V, yeah, and save. So those are the configurations I need to do here. I would also go to the default the tsx file inside of the config directory. So here I would also have to configure the smart contract or our project. So we're not using the CW20 contract. We're using our own smart contract, which is the messaging contract. So I've already deployed this to the testnet, and this is the address that I got from deploying the smart contract. You can also use the smart contract if you're building along. You can also use the smart contract address if you're building along, or you can deploy it on your own, maybe your local node on testnet. So that's the first thing. I also need to change this to Cudos testnet. And I'm going to change the staking denom to Cudos, and the fee denom, the denomination that's used to calculate our gas price, to a Cudos. So that's that. I'm still going to edit this file, but for now that is sufficient. So I'm going to close both of, I think I'm going to close this as well, the index. No, I'm going to close the app.tsx. So another thing is that I've edited this. Okay, another thing is that I need to have but I'll come back to that. So for now, we want to have because our smart contract, let me open the client. You would see the messaging client. You would see that our smart contract allows us to read the greeting from the smart contract. So the smart contract has a generic greeting that it shows to everybody. And we're going to be able to read from the smart contract state to get the greeting. So we want to get the greeting. We also want to be able to respond to the smart contract's greeting. And we'll call on the reply. We'll call on the reply function. We are also interested in getting the replies, reading the list of all the past replies sent to the smart contract. But we're not going to implement the reset. We're leaving that out. So let's go to our index.tsx file. So I showed you that, let me run this. So if you remember, it's because there are issues here. So let me say it has no exported member. That's going to lead to some other issues. So I'm going to go to the default and export it just to show you something. So you would see that when you would see that the first thing that it says is on the UI, when you run your code as it is, it says, it just gives us some random messages, like telling us about the cosmology and some other things. So I'm going to delete all of that because we don't need it. Okay. So the wallet section is important. It's this. This is the balance. I'll delete that. So let me just comment delete so I know what I'm deleting. This box is not important. And I think this grid as well. And even this as well. So I'm going to delete everything from here. Yeah. So I would say, let me see, it's running. So let me show us the front end that we have now. So I've deleted. I need to reload. This is from my past run. It's still loading. Yeah, and I need to say this is a next project. It uses invalid expected Cudos. So I'm going to leave this for now. But it uses Cosmos Kit, Next.js, and Telescope. So we have some errors because we're still configuring it. I just wanted to show you that. So we wanted to show, instead of it to show create Cosmos app, we wanted to say welcome. It's going to be let me just go there to save us time. We would see what it's going to show us as we move on. So I'm going to change this from create Cosmos app to simple messaging app. Simple messaging app on Cudos. Okay, so what else? Yeah. So we want this box to display. Okay. Simple messaging. That's the title. So this is what it's going to display on Cudos. Alright. So I want the Cosmos dot blah blah blah. I want it to be there. I'm going to remove this, but I want it to say welcome to. I'm going to remove this as well. I want it to say simply welcome, then I think the best thing is I'm going to say welcome, then the name of the person that's logged in, or even remove the welcome, and this is going to be the greeting. This is going to show the greeting. So let me do this. Greeting. Yeah. and this is going to be the message. No, I'll leave it at this. So this is fine. So we need to get the greeting, to display the greeting. So to get the greeting, I'm going to firstly, here, so I'm going to edit this. So this is a React project. So we need to do some, so constant greeting, I'm going to use state to get and set the greeting. Set greeting equals use state, and let me leave this as empty for now. I need to import use state from React. Yeah, so to get the greeting, we need to use we need to use the types, we need to use the methods and the class defined in the messaging client. So I'm going to constant get and set greetings. To define this method. So it's going to be, let's see, messaging client. We have this messaging client, what's it called? We have this messaging client class. So we're going to instantiate a class, the messaging query client class. I'm going to close this. So index it. So we need to firstly have our constant messaging query client. It's a query client equals new messaging query client. Does it expect anything from us? It expects a custom WASM client from us. So this messaging query client, since it expects some things, I'm going to make this into a function, right? So yeah, now. So we're going to say it's going to be an async function. It's going to be an async call. Because we're going to use await some promises. So I'm going to now say constant custom WASM client equals, it's not new. The way to get our custom WASM client is not by instantiating it. You'd see I got an error message when I tried to do that. So it's going to be await custom WASM client dot connect. So to connect to the custom WASM client, we need to pass to it our endpoint, and we don't have defined. We don't have that defined anywhere except somewhere. I think I defined it in the app.txt file. But I don't want to import it that way. So to import it, I'm going to add it to the config file, to the default file inside of the config. So I could just say export constant RPC endpoint equals what's the RPC endpoint? I think I copied it. Yeah, this is the RPC endpoint. This is one of the endpoints. So I could say that, but because there's chain registry, and the chain registry makes it easy for us to use, makes it easy for us to connect with any Cosmos based chain that has registered on the Cosmos hub, and Cudos has registered. So I'm going to show you another way to get that. So we can export constant chain endpoint. I'm going to call it chain endpoint. equals, let me also import the chains. Yeah, equals. So chains that find where chain, using the chain, we check this. So we want to map, we want to filter it using the, or find it using the chain ID or the chain name. We supplied the chain name and not the chain ID. We supplied the chain name here. If we supplied the chain ID, we could have used the chain ID as well. And the chain ID is also, if you check on, okay, let me leave that out. But you can find the chain ID as well. And let's leave that. You can use the chain ID to filter. You can use many things to filter. Let's check the many things we can use. So we can filter by the chain name, the chain ID. Probably the explorers, but that wouldn't be too safe. So let's use the chain name. Anything you define, you can use it to filter. So chain name equals the chain name. So we're going to do this. So each of the chain, so it's good, that's going to return the first chain, but there is the APIs and there is the RPC. So we're interested in the RPC address at the first. So it has if you would say that it has an array. So it returns an array, RPC array. And if we console the log that, we'll see that there is many. So we're only interested in one of those. So I'm going to get the second one with zero-based indexing. So at 1, the address. So that's the chain. So if that is empty, so it returns this. I'm just going to use, if that is null, then we're going to use the fallback RPC here. So if it's null, then please return the RPC that we defined. That's just as backup. But I doubt if that's going to be null. So let me copy this. Yeah. I'm wondering why we still have an error. I shouldn't have any error. So let me check my. This shouldn't be an error, I guess. It's not an error. It just took some time for IntelliSense to work. So I'm going to close this and go back. Remember, we wanted to close this as well. We wanted to define our messaging query client. So I'm going to connect it to that RPC. I think it's called chain endpoint. Let me check once more. Yeah, chain endpoint. Oops. Okay. And we're now going to say return new messaging query client, passing in the client we just defined here and the contract address. We have messaging contract address defined in our defaults. So there's going to be some IntelliSense unless it has imported it. It hasn't, so we need to import by ourselves. I hope that's the right name. I just want to be sure what name I give it. So I'm going to, it's a messaging contract address with I'm going to change this as well. It's in the, okay. But this is is going to be a function. So I'm going to, I need to await anything. My intelligence is quite slow. I don't know why. But this is a promise returning messaging query client. I don't want to await this. Although, I want it to return. I'm going to immediately invoke this. Still the same. I'm going to remove this. Okay, so now we've defined this, and we're going to use that to get and set our greeting. So I'm going to call this function. So this is going to be an asynchronous function as well, because we're going to await some things. So I'm going to say constant greeting equals the messaging query client dot, sorry, I have to await it because it's a promise. Messaging query client and we want to call on the get greeting. So I'm going to now set the greeting as that. So there's no need to do this. I just wanted to show you. So set greeting. So we're going to console log greeting after this. Okay. So I need to define the greeting. Remember, I just inside of the set greeting, where is it? I'm looking for inside of this. I put this. So if this is not the type, I need to specify the type as get greeting response. And remember, I said these types were defined for us inside of the messaging types. So that makes things very easy for us. So that's the type. I think the error has gone. So because we want this to run on after load, so I'm going to use effect. I'm going to add it to use effect without passing any arrays. Without passing with an empty dependency array. So I'm going to call on get and set greeting. Importing use effect. Import use effect. Right, so let's console dot. Okay, I think we already console dot greeting here. So let's run this npm run dev. This is another. I think it's even running already. It's already running. So let's load and check. Or instead of just console.login, let me add it to where I wanted to add it. I'm going to close this for now. Remember I said I want to add the greeting here. So I'm going to put it here as greeting. But the greeting is, what's it called? The greeting is of type. It has another greeting. So it's greeting, you need to put greeting. If you check the types, let me show you the types. You would see that, search for greeting. Yeah, the get greeting response. It's an object containing greeting of type string. So we need to do that. we need to say greeting. So let's load and see. So we have some errors here. So we're going to fix that later. But let's see hello world. So now we've been able to read our greeting. Okay. So that. Alright, so I'm going to paste inside of the components some templates that I already have. So that's going to make it easy for us. I'm going to explain it. So we want to see the list of the response. I have the response form and the response list. So to see the list of the response, we'll use the response list, and to respond to it, we'll use the response form. Since the response list is a little bit the same as what we did before, let's do the response list first. So this is the types. This is the styling CSS files. Let's first define our method. Oh, we can say get and set replies equals it's going to be an asynchronous call. Or you know what, I'm just going to copy and paste what we already have and edit it. So yeah, that makes it easy. It makes it fast. Okay, so this is going to be get and set. So I'm going to do this. So Control F. I'm going to search inside of this selection and search for the greeting, anything that has to do with greeting, and rename it. See, what did I just do? And rename it to greeting, rename it to replies. Okay, it's failed to do some, so I'm going to change this to get replies. Yeah, and this is also going to be set replies. So we need to define the set replies. So I'm going to come up here and create replies. Set replies equals use state of type get replies response and make it. So this is the get and set replies, and we want that also to run after the load. So get and set replies is going to be added here. Okay, so let's come to the response list. We want the response list to display. You say, okay, let me explain what we have here in the template. It's a simple component that doesn't have anything. It just says it contains a table. So we're going to make this table display our response. So here is going to be for each response. We have an address and we have a response. This is going to be a map shortly. So yeah. So let me define the response list type. Compare interface type response list props. It's going to take some replies of replies is going to be get replies response, and replies of response. Okay. So I'm going to now, so whenever we get replies, it's an array. That's also an array of replies, just as we had. So let me just show you. So it's an array, it contains a reply list, which is an array of replies. So I'm going to, I think that's fine. Or I can just make it of type reply info. Let me see if I have access to that. So this is going to be of type reply info. We're going to send the reply info only. So when we get here, I'm going to change this to, so the reply info is going to be an array of reply info. Yeah, I wanted to be sure of that. So when we get the reply info, what we want to do is we want to map in the body. I'm going to create a map. So I'm going to cut this. So it's gonna be, if we have replies, it's going to be replies dot map reply to be reply and make the indexing value. See, we need the key because it's going to be the key to paste this. So this is going to be, so we're going to get we're going to display for each reply we want to display the reply address and the reply response with response, right? So where do I have this? Index.tsx and pass that in. So I want to show the replies. So to show the replies, I want to have some divider here between the replies and the connect wallet button. So I'm going to make that a box as well. Okay. I need to add some styling, but I'll do that later. So it's going to be replies list. It's called response list, no wonder. So it's response list. And I need to pass in some things as we defined there. So I'm going to pass in the replies as the reply here. I think we have replies. Did I name it replies? I think we named it replies as well. So replies dot reply list. It's going to say it doesn't take null undefined. So we're going to go back into the index for the replies list and say you should be able to take null. And this should only display this. I'm going to use this same. So we only want to display this if we have replies. Otherwise, we want to say no replies. So if there are replies, then do this. Otherwise, do this. Otherwise display probably display saying no replies yet. Be the first responder. So I'm going to put it in. That's what I was trying to be sure. Doesn't even have to be deep. I'm going to do this. So let's see if our reply is okay. What does it say? So we need to go Control T and make it defined. Right. So let's see if so it now shows our response. I'm going to reload this. Okay, I need to put the styling. Remember I said I'll put the styling. So this is the styling. So everything is aligned. So no replies yet. Okay, so I finally figured out where the issue is coming from. It's because we're still trying to. We've not removed the what's it called? The CW20 contract, and this uses another chain entirely. So this is where the error is coming from, because it's using another address. So it's totally wrong. So I need to remove everything that has to do with it in terms of calls. So I've removed this as well. And also, if you delete, so now if we remove all these clients, it should work. Everything should be fine because we're not using it. But that's it's in the scope of this. So I'm going to leave that out because of time. So now we are now displaying our response. I'm going to add some styling, global styling, to my project to make sure it shows in the middle. But for now, I'm going to close all of this. So I focus on one thing, which is now being able to respond. So let's now respond. So inside of our response form, we have the index.tsx as well as the CSS files. So let me open the index in terms of the pages. So inside of the pages, this is where we're going to add the functions for replying to the offer, responding to the smart contract. So firstly, we need to be able to log in and get and set. So after logging in, after a user is connected, we need to ensure that our smart contract is also connected to with a sign-in Cosmosm client. So let's do that now. So firstly, let me show you some things. So we have there's a use wallet, there's also wallet status. I'm going to delete that. But we have a use wallet hook. We also have some other interesting hooks, which is I think use wallets. Yeah. So we're using this wallet somewhere. Let's check. Yeah. So we are reading the wallet status. I'm also interested in is connected, not just is wallet connected. I'm not really interested in the status because the status changes a lot. It could be, let me go to the use wallets to explain more. So go to the definition, it's type Twitter's wallet manager. So let me show you. So we can get the current wallet name, current wallet, those are private. So we can get the wallet, the chain records, use storage, current wallet name, current chain name, current wallet info, the data, states, message. But we're interested in username as well. We want to personalize our greeting. We're also interested in, that's what whatever I'm interested in, I'll go back there. So let me just come here and say username. Right. So we are now going to have a constant get and set. It's going to be get and set sign-in client. We want to get and set sign-in client. Let's get and set messaging sign-in client. Something I would also like to do is, because I'm going to use that, I'm going to need to use the wallets and sign-in client, the sign-in cousin wasm client. The sign-in cousin wasm client is what you use to interact with the cousin wasm client of the smart contract, of the blockchain. And we also have another one that can be important to know as well, the signing Stargate client and the Stargate client. You use this to interact with the blockchain itself, but that is outside of the scope of this course, of this course and this tutorial. I feel like it's important to say that. Okay, so okay, so get and set messaging client. So I'm going to come here and say constant messaging client, messaging query, not messaging query client, messaging client, and set messaging client. Excuse me. Equals new state of type messaging client, right? Why do we have this error? Okay, so come here and I'm going to say we're going to say return constant messaging client equals constant messaging client equals new messaging client. We need to pass in the client, the sign-in cousin wasm client, the sender, as well as the contract address. So we also need to, one thing that I forgot to import while defining the things we are reading from the use wallet hook is also, I think, the address. Yes, the currently connected address. So because we need that as well. So first let me see messaging client. What do I need to pass in? I need to pass in my sign-in cousin wasm client, and I got that from. So if I say await get sign-in cousin wasm client, that's it. Okay, we need to pass in the sender, and the sender is the address. Also need to pass in the contract address, which we defined as the messaging contract address. So why is this saying, okay, this is not an int? Okay, so I'm going to do this. We even need to wrap this in a try-catch block, because what if the person does not have a Kepler wallet? So let me do that. Try catch. So put this here. Control X. Just Control X for now. So I'm going to say, let's even check if we can have let's see if we have anything that has to do with Kepler. No, we don't. So I'm going to say, there could be errors also if there is no internet connection. So I'm going to say, try paste this that I copied. But firstly, we need to get the constant sign-in client equals await get sign-in cousin wasm client. So if we get the cousin, if sign-in client, if sign-in client, right, constant messaging client, we need to pass in the sign-in client. Sure, that has imported some things. So the address, okay, if sign-in client is defined, the address is defined as well. And yeah, so we're going to say, if this isn't the case, then throw some error. And I want the message to be connect wallet. Okay, so we're going to catch the error here, and I'm going to just console this error. So now, console this error with message effect. And before I'm going to, I need to add a type to it. Or it could be error type error. Yeah, that's better. I need to import this. Okay, so what I need to do here, I need to do something. Yeah, that's not the end of it. I need to set the messaging client. So messaging client. Yes. So that is it. So we want to call on this. When do we want to call on this? When, so use effect. Use effect. Let me just use this snippet. So use effect. Snippet. So first things I need to be concerned about when I want to call this. I want to call on this when the address changes. Also when the get signed person wasn't client changes. Yes, I'm interested in these two things. I might want to add some other things later, but for now, when any of this changes, I want the get and set signing client to run. Yes, I want the method to be called. And so this is just the get and set signing client. So I need to define the function. I need to now define the function for the function. So the function is submit reply. So submit is going to be it's also going to be an async function. So submit replies. I need to first check if address, because I'm going to need the address. Oh, let me check as I get my errors. So that assumes I actually know it. Yeah. So I want to wrap this in try catch. So what we do here is that we need a reply or response. We're expecting a response of type string, right? So when we get the response, we're going to define constant message. Let's say response message of type. It's the type. I'm not going to define the type. It's going to be the I think it's expect text, and the text is going to be the response, right? So after that, we're gonna now call on and this is going to be if if sign-in client, message sign-in client. Messaging client. This is the messaging client. So if the messaging client is not null or undefined, we want to now call on its messaging client dot reply, passing in the response message. Response message. You might not even write it, but I prefer this way. So you might not create the function, the object, yes. So we're going to await this. Because this might also fail, and we're not going to catch whichever error it runs into. Console.error, and we're going to say error of type any to avoid the issue we got earlier. We're going to log the errors message. Okay, so that's that. What else do we need to check? What else do we want to check? Do we want to check anything? Yes, we would want to check something, because the smart contract is written in such a way that you can only respond once. So, and we're not even going to check that here. What we want to do is to avoid, to make it have a great user experience. Once somebody has responded in the past, they trying to reconnect is going to, they trying to resubmit their response is going to fail. It's not even going to show them the response form. So we don't want to show them the response form. So to do that, I'm going to have a function. Sorry, I'm going to have a variable or state that says can respond. And set is can respond equals use state. We're going to assume the person cannot respond. So this can respond. What I'll do is that it depends on the replies. This can respond depends on the replies, and we're going to have a function. We're going to have a separate function called can respond. Constant can respond. Set can respond. It doesn't take anything, and what it does is that it only runs if we have replies set. Let's leave that for now. So what it does is that it checks the replies, and if any replies is if any reply address is equal to the current logged in user's replies, it sets it can respond to false. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop over the array. So replies dot reply info or reply list dot find. So returns the first value. I want to use find. I want to use find or undefined. So I think that's true. Okay, so that's fine. The find. So it finds, let's say, the reply. Yeah. Reply dot address equals the current address. So reply the address equals the current address. So if we have reply, right? If reply, then set is can respond to false. Else, set it to true. So set is can reply. It can respond. Set it to true if that is not the case. So this set can respond. The only time we want to call it when we want to call the set can respond whenever the person is signed in. So it is dependent on the address. It's also dependent on, let me come down here. So submit replies. We have the use effect that says get and set messaging client is an address, and the get signing. Okay, I'm trying to think where I need to add this. Yeah. So whenever any of this changes, I want it to go. I was trying to be very sure if this is where I need to add it. And yeah, that is where I need to add it. So I'm going to now go into the response form. So inside of the response form, I need to define, let's have a look at the response form. So the response form is a simple form. If false, okay, I just noted this, that if the response is, if the person has, they can respond. If false, what I talked about before, if the person has replied in the past, then you shouldn't see the response, shouldn't see the response, and I don't even think, so if the person has responded, so this should only show if the person has not responded. So I'm going to remove this. That would be 2. Please connect your wallets. Okay, so let me see. So we need to send some things. The first thing is this, the type of response form properties equals. So it takes the submit function. Submit. I'm just going to type it as n for now. I'm going to update it. So let's say submit function of type. So it takes submit and some other objects, and the type of that is the response from props. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the type here. The submit replies. So promise void. Okay, let me do that. So it takes I want to name it the same so that it's easy for you to follow. Okay, so it takes string, it takes response, I guess it takes replies for string and returns a void promise. Promise that's empty. It returns an empty promise. Empty promise. Okay, so the submit replies, what we need to do is that constant reply. So it also takes can respond. There's no need for me to even send can respond. What I would do is put it at the top level. So if the person has already responded, don't display this. If they've not responded, you can display this. Okay, so use state, handle change. Alright, so set reply, the value. So come in here, you'll see there is a post and there's an input box. So you type in your response And whenever you change, your response changes. It calls on the handle change. What the handle changes, that it removes the spaces, the beginning and the end spaces, and set the replies. And when you click on the post button, what it does is that it firstly prevents defaults. We need to attach to it the submit replies. So submit replies, passing in the reply here, the clean reply. Okay. So that works. That should work. So we're going to import. Where do I want to add that? I want to add that at the top of this. I want to add that at the top. So let me just there's no need to copy and paste to avoid confusion. I'm not going to copy and paste. I'm going to do this. Copy the divider only and put it below the wallet section. So space and save box. Let's say a box. Just trying to think. So the box contains the response form. Oops, I don't really like this. I want to save it. So let's import the response form. Okay. So what does the response form take? It takes the submit, and we're going to pass in the submit replies function. Hopefully it's also named submit replies. I said we only want to show this if we're only interested in showing this if the user can respond. So it can respond and show this, otherwise don't. See what I do. Okay, so must have one parent element. Wrap this. Need to wrap this inside of the parent element. So this works. This should work. I've not checked. Let's check the UI to ensure that it works. Right, so let's check what we have here. So Ctrl-Shift-R to reload. So okay, I also need to. Okay, so let's see. If I change my address to Ranger, or let's say test. I know this address has replied in the past. So let me change to another address. Okay, so that changes address, but to foolproof it, I need to add something here. So if address return set is going to respond. Set is going to respond to. So I need to set can respond. So once the person disconnects, we should set is can respond to false. Otherwise, this might lead to some issues. And there's another thing I need to do. I should refresh the response list. So submit replies. If this add set and get replies. Get and set replies. So yeah, that's that. So if you log out, if you disconnect, doesn't show. If you're connected, it shows. So this probably formats the post button. And wait, Cudos 1M QSA. Need to see something. I've already responded, so it shouldn't be showing me this box. So I'm coming. Let me just check something. So can respond. Let's check our is set is can respond. So if address, right, so it's only if the address. Okay, so whenever somebody logs out, we already added this, it can respond. So if somebody is signed out, if there is no address, it can respond is automatically false. And if the person's name is here, it can respond is false. So I'm wondering why this is showing it can respond. So I'm going to figure that out now, because it shouldn't be showing it can respond. It shouldn't be showing this box. So let's check that. Inside of so it can respond. What is it can respond? So it can respond whenever I log in. I'm also getting set replies here, and am I calling on set is can respond? I think I will need to call on set can respond whenever this is submitted. Yes, I need to call on set can respond. Yes, I need to check once more if it can respond. Start it. So to test our response form, I'm going to create a new account. Please remember, using a new account on a network, you need to send some tokens to the network, to the account, to make it accessible on that network. As you would see shortly, using our new account without sending in some tokens, maybe by requesting first from the faucet, you might send a message to Ollie and it's going to provide some for you, or even you might send a message to me and I'm going to send you some tokens as well. So we need to do that. I'm going to send some tokens from my other address, from my other account, and I would copy and paste my address. And send some tokens. So since I've successfully sent some tokens, I would now be able to send my message, which is the response message. So I'm going to now respond. Yay! So we now get a confirmation message. We get a confirmation message to sign our transaction from the Kepler wallet. I'm going to click on approve, and you would see that it has now been added to the response list. So yay, thanks for watching. Please make sure you also code, maybe following along or watching the tutorial and creating your own project. I'm going to further refactor this some of the UI methods, not the actual getting and setting methods, but some UI to make the UI look better. And this is going to be uploaded onto GitHub, and repository is going to be made available to you. Thank you for watching. Bye.